Okay, Beseda, good, let's go. So we're up to Siman Yud Aleph Halacha Tesvav, Sif Tesvav. Yesh Omrim, we'll try, there's a lot to do today, we'll go quickly. Yesh Omrim, Shetzarech Ledakdek, Sheyisla HaSitzias LaOrach HaTalis, that when you tie the Tzitzis on the Talis, the Boinish Tetino Tefes Al HaKeren, Pirush Tolui Al HaKeren, it should be hung over the corner. In other words, when you hang the Talis, that you should do it in such a way that it's hanging. Can you see that the cloth is like that? That it shouldn't be just drooping down to the ground like that. That it should be sort of done on the corner, that it's like bent over a little bit. That's what it means. So therefore the Gemara, the Mechaber says, Yesh Omrim, shetzorech ledakdek sheyisle hasitzis, you should tie the tzitzis on the talis, la'orach hatalis. Now, do you remember we said that the talis, when we do it, it goes across like that. This is the Orach of the talis, across the width of the person, but it's called the Orach. That you should tie the tzitzis on the corners like that, across that way. It should be done that way, and that way when it's hanging down, it's sort of hanging over a corner. V'loi, says the Mechaber, it should be sort of pirish tole ala keren, it should be hanging on the corner. Because if you do it the other way, lo haya notef, shari klape ara hayatoli, it will just be sort of just drooping down, just hanging straight down. It wouldn't be hanging over a corner. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah on that. Ayin le'el b'sif cotton ayin base le'erech hatalis. Ayin le'el b'sif cotton nun base mashu oirech. V'ayim behalocha debuinen hayno bein b'shas hatliya oyachakach. Either at the time of your putting on the tzitzis or afterwards. Im nishvatu letzad lemata. If it slips down to the side, yachzirim, just turn it round. V'chol ze lechatchila. All of these halachas are lechatchila. Av b'di'evet ein k'peda b'zeh. We're not makbid. Achal kol ponim yizohem oid shelo yihiu hatzitzis tuluyim ba'alachsoin. What you've got to be careful of is that the tzitzis shouldn't be on the corner, like sort of hanging like that. On the corner, can you see that they shouldn't be hanging like that, that it should be on the side. Why? Because al keren's obvious mipneshu minhag hakroim sha'isen came, because the kroim, the Karaites used to have that minhag. Ve'im tului mitzvah lachsinim koim, and if they are like that, you should just move it, adjust it a little bit. Okay, now then let's just finish off this sif. Yesh Omrim, the end of the Mechaber there in Sif Tesvav. Yesh Omrim she'ein lo seis shum beged be'nikvei hatalas shemachnisim b'hasitzis v'yesh matirim v'chein nohagu. There is a minhag, says the Mechaber, not to put any material on the corner of the beged. Now we do it. Yeah, the first there is ein lo seis shum beged. And yesh matirim v'chein nohagu, and this is in fact is the minhag, to put some sort of beged which reinforces the corner. What's the problem? Says the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Ayin Dalet, the bo'in and shiyu hasitzis munach ala knaf, because the tzitzis should be on the corner. Al kanfei bigdeihem, we say, v'lo al dover shu munach ala knaf, and not on another material which is on the knaf. For yesh matirin, and there are those who matter it, ki ein oisin kein el chazik habeged shlei korea. The whole purpose of it is just to strengthen, to reinforce that corner. The bottle lagabe beged, and that little patch is bottled to the beged. Va'afilu shel mut, and even to put a leather material is okay. V'chein iskimu hapoiskim, and the poiskim agree to that. Okay, ad kan. That is the end of that. Now let's go to the next siman yud base. Very halacha lemaisa. What if your tzitzis snap? What's the halacha? So we'll see there are two days machlekes between the Rosh and the Rebbeinu Tam which appear in the Mechaber. Says the Mechaber, Aleph, Im nifsekul kol chutei haknaf. If all the chutim of the knaf snap off, v'nishtayim bohem k'dei anivas kol hachutim hapsukim biyachad kasha. So in other words, according to the first opinion, this is the opinion of the Rosh, if all 8, in other words, we know that there are four that go through the initial beged, and they double up, they become 4 on each side, which is 8. If all 8 snap, so long as you've got a kadei aniva, which is a small amount, that amount, a kadei aniva, that you could make a bow from that little amount, then you're okay. Says the Mechaber, Im nifseku kol chutei haknaf, v'nishtayim bohem kadei anivas kol hachutim hapsukim biyachad, kasha, ve'im lo nisha kadei aniva, and if there isn't left a kadei aniva, pirush v'yirkusat hachoshin tirgum v'ya'anvun, it's loshon of making a bow, afilu b'chut echad shenifsak kulei, parcel. If you haven't got kadei aniva in one of them, then it's parcel. Hilkach, Kiven shekol echod pos kafel l'shnayim, since each side is doubled over to 2, im nifseku shnei roshim posel. If two parts, because each of these 4 become 8, if 2 become broken, then you've got a problem. Why? Shem nifsak chut echod. Because according to this opinion, once one snaps less than a kadei aniva, that's okay. But if 2 snap, then you've got a problem. Because if they go less than kadei aniva, they could be from one of the original 4 strings, and therefore you've got a problem. Or if this is a good hack when you're making tzitzis. When you put your 4 through on each side, you make a simon on one of the 4, make a little bow or something in it, and you know which 4 are on which side and which 4 on the other side. So it says the Mechaber, if you do this, that 4 are, we know, on one side of the knot. Then so then if you know, for example, like this, let's say this was from 4, and this was on the other side. They're all from the same 4. So if I've got 2 which are broken, let's say on one side, and they snap less than kadei aniva, they'll actually be okay, because it's 1 chut, and that would be alright. So therefore, because I know, what's the svara? Because I know they're not from the same chut. Yeah, because they're on the same side, and I know that I kept them separate, and therefore I know for certain that 4 of them I've got at least a kadei aniva. I'm okay. So therefore, according to the first opinion, if you have the minhag like we do when you make your tzitzis, that 4 or you keep them separate, and 2 snap, even if they snap very low down to the kesher, less than kadei aniva, then I'm going to be okay, because I know that I've got at least 2 chutim on the other side, no problem. Pseudo. So lefima shenonagim ledagdik beish asiyas hasitzis lo say simen ba'arba roshim be'inyan shloilim arbaim roshim mitzad echad shlakesha ba'arba roshim mitzad ha'acher im nifseku shnei roshim mitzad echad kasha tevadai shnei chutim, because they must be from 2 different of the original 4 strings ba'arim nishtaya, and they are left over mikol echad harosh hasheni yoseg mikdei aniva, and therefore they've left over from each side more than a kadei aniva, and therefore I'm going to be okay. Good. Now let's just finish the Mechaber, and then we'll do the Ramah. But according to Rabbeinu Tam, lo machshirim elech shenishtayu shnei chutim shleimim. You've got to have 2 chutim shleimim. What are 2 chutim shleimim? You've got to have, of the original 4 that you put in, 2 of them have got to remain shleimim, all the way through, which is shnei 12 gudolim. Dahainu arba'a roshim. That means you've got, from the original 4, if 2 are shleimim, that means you're going to have at least 4 which are sholim, right? Arba'a roshim shekol echad me'aroshim orach shnei mesa gudolim. That means they've reached 12 gudolim. Oz machshirim kishenifskusu hashnei chutin hacherim in nishtay bohem kadei aniva. Then you're going to have, if you've got 4, let's say the middle 2 4, they stay good, but the other ones you've got less than kadei aniva. Im nishtay bohem kadei aniva. If the other ones remain kadei aniva, then you'll be okay. But if 3 snap, then that will be possible. Therefore, if 3 heads, 3 of the chutim snap, if you weren't careful to verify when you made the tzitzis where the 4 sides, to keep them separate, like I explained, then that each head will be from a different chut. And therefore you're only going to have 1 chut. So if you've got 3 which have snapped and you weren't careful, then it could be that you've only got 1 chut shalim. So according to Rabbeinu Tam, you've got a problem, because you've got to have 2 of the original 4 chutim which are shalim. And therefore if 3 have snapped, you've got a problem. However, Hilkach, but if you're left with where you've got a kadei aniva, then you'll be okay. We paskin like the first opinion. And therefore, if you've got tzitzis and you were careful to know when you've threaded them through the original 4 strands, and you make a little knot, a little simon, which is which side, even if 2 sides snap, and you've got 2 of them which snap very low down, they'll actually still be kosher, because you know that 4 on the other side are going to be okay. However, lechatchila, one should be choishish for the Rabbi Tam that you've got at least 2 of the strings, which is 2 of the original strings, which is going to be 2 on each side, which are good all the way through. And then he carries on, but says the Ramah, the minig is Rabbi Tam, and therefore, if you were medakdik to recognize that the 4 strands will be on one side, the nifsku shleisha roshim b'sad echod, to parcel that 3 of them split, then it'll be possible. Because then for certain 3 of the original 4 strings will be broken. And therefore if it splits on 2 sides, then also it's going to be possible because maybe those came from 3 of the original strands. Okay, let's do the Mishnah Berurah quickly. Says the Mishnah Berurah, V'nishtai bohem, Siv Cotton Aleph. Pirush. This is in the Shitta of the Rosh, the original opinion. V'nishtai bohem, Pirush. B'chol echod min achut nisha lasus aniva, shekarin shleif. You've got enough left to make a bow, which is called a shleif. L'chol achut napsukim biyachad. V'im lo nifsukul kulon dai, im nisha lasus aniva al apsukim. It's enough you can make a bow on the psukim, on the ones that have snapped. You can wrap around that. B'vad v'lo al kol achutin. Not just on all of the chutin, just the ones that have snapped. Kosher. Then it will be kosher v'imhitzias tzitzis. If you undo the tzitzis and you want to put them onto a different talis, lidnim talis achad dahavi kelechatchila v'afilo nifsek rak chut echod ve'ein barker shnei asod gedulim. Then to put them on another one, so long as they've got 12 gudolin. Shenifsak kuloi. Says the Mishnah Berurah in Sif Cotton Gimel, on the 2 heads you've got a tiny bit left over, you haven't got a kedei aniva, parcel, even though the other chutin were shleimim, if the 2 that have left over, between them, they've got enough to do kedei aniva. Yesh li stapik imahani. There is a debate whether that works. Mashma it's unclear. Or mashma lirabba v'chem derech hachaim the yesh mahachme b'dava that you should be machmer in the matter. V'afilum yesh sofik imashnei roshin hem mishnei chutin o echod. If there is a sofik whether the 2 strings are from 1 chut or not, v'mkein yesh kan sfeik sfeika. You've got a double doubt. Shema hem mishnei chutin. Maybe they're from 2 different chutin, and even if they're not, shem mitzdarfin. V'afilu hachi yesh lahachme mishum the tzitzis mitzuyin hen, because tzitzis are very common, and therefore you should err on the side of caution. For Arsh Chaim mekel b'chol zeh. The Arsh Chaim is mekel in all this. The niredim yesh be'echod me'aroshin kadei la'anov chut echod b'vada yesh lismeich olav. Certainly, if one of the threads is enough to be doing, and even that would be okay. Parcel, Sif Cotton Dalet, Ayin Lekam B'Sif Gimel, Ulukula Amim Nifsak Chut Echod Me'ekorei. If one of the chutim break initially, Tahainu B'Mokum Chibura B'Knaf, in the placement in the corner, then it's parcel. That's in the very beginning of when you're making the tzitzis. Because of ataz, Alkein Roy Lekoli Shemaim, Shiyayin B'Shas B'Dika Gam T'chilas Mitzom Ala Tzitzis Tahainu B'Mokum Chibura B'Knaf Im Yesh Sham Kera. You've got to be very careful to check your tzitzis before you put them on. Make the bracha like we discussed that nothing should be torn. Shnei Roshim V'Lo Nishtai B'Shum Echod Bohem Kedei Aniva. If 2 break, we said, and there isn't a Kedei Aniva enough to make a little bow. Avalim Be'echod Mehen Yesh Kedei Aniva is kosher. Shema Nifsak Rotzoin Eloi Ma'afim Shnei Nifsakim Mitzad Echod, even on one side. Mikol Mokum Pen Shnehem Hem Echod Echod. The concern is maybe they come from 1 string. Kivin Shelo Digdei Beis Hasir, because you weren't careful when you made them to separate the 2. Shnei Roshim Hu Adin Afilu Kol HaRoshim Nifsaku Mitzad Echod U'Me'arbo HaRoshim Mitzad Hasheni Lo Nishtai B'Chol Echod Rak Kedei Aniva Gam Kein Kosher. You're only going to have a problem if one is missing b'shnei roshav. Because the truth is, it could be not just the 2 on one side, it could be all 4 on one side, because then you've certainly got enough on the other side of kedei aniva. She'ela. What if you have the chutei hasitzis, they snap, and then you retie them? Can you retie snapped tzitzis? Does retying help it? The Achronim conclude that this is the halacha. If before you actually put them on, they snapped, and then you retie them together, bekesher kayom, in a permanent knot, v'achkach also mehen tzitzis, and then you made tzitzis out of them, kasha, that's okay. To kshir have a chibur gomer, because a kshir is considered a proper chibur. V'chein, and so too, la'acha shenase behechsha, even once you've made your tzitzis, and they've been made in a proper way, tahainu im nifsak rosh echod la'acha hatolas tzitzis be'abeged. For example, one string snaps off, im lo nishtai b'kudei aniva me'ahani l'kosher ato, then it works. So for example, you've got one string, and one string snaps off, your tzitzis is still kosher. If you retie it now, then that's okay. So says the Mishnah Berurah, because when you had it, you were on a kosher pair of tzitzis. But if they shortened in a way that the tzitzis became parcel, you haven't got k'dei aniva, for example, and two of them split, or where it splits at the place of the hole, it won't help you afterwards. Because it's a problem of tasev v'lemin asui. Certainly, if it was too short to begin with, after you've done all the windings and the tying, okay, just finish off the Mishnah Berurah. Rabbeinu Tam, Siv Kotzen Ches, time with the Shnei Chutin Shein Abo on the Noisim B'Makom Tcheles. What's the reason? Because we would put 2 out of the 4 would be Tcheles, so Shnei Chutin Shein Arba on the Noisim B'Makom Lavon, and 2 of the 4 would be Lavon. Tzarech al Kopon Shei Min Echad Shalom. There's at least be one of Min Echad, one Min, which is going to be Shalom, either the 2 Tcheles or the 2 Lavon. So you're going to have at least one of those Minim which are going to be kosher. That's why the Rabbeinu Tam needs both. You need 2 which are shleimin. Im lo diktek kasha. To hakol shken im diktek k'mesh gosu ba'goachakach. V'yesh loim ad nokat lo diktek mishum seifet the Messiah. Aval im lo nechtechu el shnei roshim the machshirim the k'tei aniva tezeo dafka below diktek. That's only when you weren't medaktek. Aval im diktek in that situation. Im diktek im nechtechu shnei roshim esad echod kasha. Afilu nishtai k'tei aniva. If you didn't have a k'tei aniva don nishtai and kol echod rosh hasheni, because you've got the other end of the 4 which is going to be okay. Aval nifsku shnai mishnei sadim. But if 2 snapped from both sides, for the nishtai k'tei aniva, then psulin the shem echod echod hen, because maybe they came from one of the one string. Machshirin b'chtei aniva. Let's just finish. Even if there was a k'dei aniva in one of them, v'chanal b'sif cotton hay. V'halacha poshet the mutter levarich aleihen u'chmisha b'yan the halacha, and the halacha is that you certainly can make a bracha on it. Seder. Okay.